Hey everybody, Chris and Linda Paget, welcome to the Happy Place Homestead.
If you're new to our channel, we are a family of 11 and we live in a 9-sided house in central New York, and we are 5.5 years into our homesteading journey. We're going to put a video right here in case you want to know more about our journey to here.
So today we want to give you a tour of the Happy Place Homestead.
Now on this channel, there are lots of videos about the inside of our home. We've done a lot of renovation through these 5.5 years, and so it'd be great if you would check those out. But a future video is coming that will give you a full tour of the inside of our home. We got to clean it first though.
Okay, our first stop here is the pasture, and we've done a lot of work in this area. It doesn't really look like it, but it used to be filled with all sorts of trees, maple trees and pine, and we had a lot of protection from the road. When people drove by, they really couldn't see our place, and we liked it that way. But it was also a great place just for me to go out and do some firewood cutting and getting ready for the winter. We had tried a couple times to tap some of the maple trees. We thought that would be a great adventure. And again, this place was stuffed to the brim with lots and lots of good maple trees. So what we realized though along the way is that we wanted to have more space for animals. And in order to do that, we needed to clear this pasture or this wooded area. For us, it was an expense that was worth the cost, because what we had intended to do with other areas on our property, we just realized it wasn't going to be enough to have the amount of animals that we wanted there. So we cleared the space, and we still are using it for some wood cutting areas. We're going to eventually have our sawmill here, and we also have in the back some wood logs stacked ready for cutting. So we like this place. We can already envision and see how it's going to be. Our thoughts probably for the coming year are going to be to put a number of chicken tractors out there. We'll rotate those every single day. Also a particular area for some sheeps and cows to do some grazing, and we're just going to do a lot of rotating out here, so we're pretty excited about it. We've already planted some grass and tilled up some areas that were uneven, and a lot of work still to go, but we're pretty happy about it. So you guys, this area has had a lot of hoofs on it. We've had pigs on this area now for I don't know, a few months. And what's going to happen is they'll be going to freezer camp real soon. But what we did is we set up these hog panels and we made it so that they could rotate. So we've been leaving them on this little area for a few days to a week, and then we'll rotate them one after the other. So this whole area has been, how do you say, christened by the gifts that pigs have to give. And that nutrients, that waste is going to help to fertilize this soil and help us as we continue to grow grass here for the pasture. I don't envision that we'll ever utilize this for hay. I don't think it's smooth enough, and what we found in freshly cleared areas that there's an extremely huge amount of rocks that are just waiting to bring misery into your life. So right now the pigs are doing a lot of work for us. They're tilling that soil and they're eating away the swamp grass, and they're leaving some remnants to make sure that this coming spring it's going to be a great place for growth.
All right, so this is the garden, the new big garden. We have lots of videos that I'll put here for you to check out to see the progression of what we've made so far in this space, this fall mostly. We have so much more to do, but we've run into a couple hiccups. We haven't been able to get the wood that we need for the building that we have in this space, and we also have had some pretty bad weather. So we're kind of at a standstill here. But the goal in this space is to have multiple raised beds and then eventually a greenhouse that we'll put in next year. And I'm hoping it's going to be a beautiful place, because gardens have to be a beautiful place for me, because if it's a place I got to be at all the time, it has to feed my soul and make me happy. And so this place is a work in progress, but we'll get there eventually.
Obviously, many of you know we're Catholic. I hope that doesn't freak out too many of you, but it's not like we just have this Mary statue here because it's decorative. You know, it's special for us, but it's special for us probably more than what you would just think. It's not like we got to have a Mary statue because that's what all Catholics do. But this is a special place because this is where we have some of our little babies that were miscarriages, and we don't talk about this a lot, but we've had 5 miscarriages, and you know, it's something that a lot of women go through, a lot of families go through, and we are like a lot of those families. I think that when you're open to life, when you're open to having kids, then that means that sometimes you're open to loss, and that's hard. That is very hard, and we wonder what these little Paget kids will look like, and I'm sure that they're gonna have a lot of uniquenesses and gifts and talents that that we would have benefited from here, but for some reason they didn't make it to full term, and so we know that they're cheering us on, and those gifts and talents are used in a very beautiful way for us. Let me make it clear though, the babies are not buried here, but we've put some mementos that we buried with some bushes and some foliage that reminds us of these special little ones. So it's not a graveyard.
House, and we're sitting on a deck that was built only a couple years ago. I think it was just a couple years ago. It feels like it's been here forever, but our Amish friend Jacob built it for us and extended the front porch, which is behind us. So in the years that we've been here, one thing that we've done a lot is create outdoor space. So with this deck, the extended porch, a deck on the back of the house, which we'll show you later, and
yeah, it was Linda's idea, honestly.
He poo-pooed it so badly. He was like, what's the point of a deck? I mean, why can't we just put a table here? And what's the big deal of sitting either on the ground on the table or sitting on a deck on the table? But those few inches have made a huge difference.
It's weird. It is amazing, actually. I think you were more than right. It's funny because we did, for the first couple of years, we just would sit out with our lawn chairs, and we had a picnic table that we would come out and the kids would run around. And part of my thought process was, this is kind of a nice lawn. Why would we wreck it with a big, gigantic, deck? But it's turned out to be such a great place, and Linda's made it beautiful with all sorts of plants to go around it. And she built this table that we're sitting at right now. And basically, yeah.
It's
you
great.
Were right.
I'm right, yeah.
I was wrong.
Now, off of this space, outside the kitchen door that's right here, this blue door, is our kitchen garden. This was the original garden that I built. I think it was the second summer that we lived here. It's this small little 10 by 12 space. And it's the one garden, as you'll see in some of our garden updates this year, that we had to redo it. We had to pull all the dirt out of it and put new soil in. And that will be, next year, that will be my herbal garden, my flower herbal garden for medicinal flowers. And so that space is right off of this deck. And there's still, to me, so many things I want to do to this space. And I don't know. My ambition is never lacking when it comes to decorating and doing stuff, but
right.
We love our outdoor space.
And what's cool about that little garden space is that we did go to one of our Amish, we have about 3 or 4 Amish families that we have been developing these relationships with, but they had a bunch of wood that was kind of for the taking for the most part, or it was so cheap it was ridiculous. So we got a big pickup truck filled with that, and based on some of the things that we've studied about gardening, we put a number of these logs on the ground in those garden beds, and they'll be filled with wood, and it's going to be a happy place for the herbs.
Yes, it'll be nice. So we want to officially welcome you to come sit on this deck with us at some point in the future. We do love having guests and having events here on the homestead. We are not just a virtual connection. We actually like to meet people face to face and interact with them face to face. And when the world ceases being crazy, you're welcome to come join us here.
Sure, we would love it. So I know it sounds weird to talk about this, but we're kind of proud of this little turnaround area. When we first settled here, the ground was obviously just a dirt road, and this area was completely wooded. So there was really nothing that would allow for us to get in here and kind of maneuver with our vehicles. So we were able to get, they're called them tailings. They're basically after a road crew lifts up the old pavement. They do stuff with that, and selling it is one of the options. And so we were able to get a few truckloads of these tailings and put them down, and we had a friend of ours come over and help us spread it out. And this has been a fantastic addition for our homestead, because even when we had tried to clear it ourselves, there were always like a little bit of stumps in the way, and it was always a little bit tough to maneuver through. But this just made the path so easy and clear for us. And also on the driveway over there, we had that officially kind of paved by the same principle. These guys were coming by and selling by the yard the pavement, basically. And so we said, yeah, let's do that. And this has been a great little place for our kids to skateboard and to scooter and ride their bikes. And we still have a dirt road, and the dirt road gets kind of mucky during the winter, and we have all the ruts that everybody else gets with the way that the ice and snow expand and contract. But so far so good, and it's loads better, and it's a lot easier to clean and clear when you have pavement than with the driveway, the dirt driveway. Those are my girls, the chicks. I'm into chicks. All right, that's weird. The truth is that I don't think I ever thought, hey, we're gonna have tons and tons of chickens. So when I thought of our little homestead, I thought of pigs and goats and sheep and stuff like that. But chickens have been a part of our life really from the very beginning, and I guess I didn't realize just how special they were gonna be for us, because we really, with a passion, started looking into ways to not only have our own eggs, but also to have our own meat chickens. And so here it is. This is kind of the winter hoop house. We call it the brooder house, but there's a ton of chickens in there already. And when the meat birds are done there, we will bring the rest of the chickens over from the coop. We like it. This is pretty cool. We bought the fencing to go around to give them some yard space. This is the old kennel that we used to keep the turkey in, and my gracious, it's worked out perfect.
Talk about these two spots right here. What we have is a pile of pavers. These were donated to us. We have 2 different sets of pavers in here that were given to us, and we've been slowly using them. I have lots of goals, lots of plans for the use of these things, but the location where they're sitting is important, because this is the future spot for my potting shed. I wanted so bad to have a potting shed built this year, but again, lack of wood, bad weather, so many things. It's just not going to happen. So next year, my potting shed is going on this location, right next to the garden and right across the street, the driveway from the house. Now, obviously, you all know what this is. It's a swing set. And so we have a whole video that we talk about finishing the swing set. And the reason we have it here is because we still have young children and we have a growing number of grandchildren. We want our grandkids to be happy coming back to Grandma and Grandpa's farm. And so having a swing set has made that, I think, just a better added plus advantage for them. So I love this. Mustard seed cabin. This was the first addition, right? The first thing that we put on this property after moving in. It was within the first 2 months or so because we needed a place for our daughter and our granddaughter to live. They have a space of their own. So
we had looked at a lot of options. We were looking at trailers and even motorhomes and just anything that would allow for them to have kind of their own space. We just knew it was not going to work for them to be living in the house. So this was a pretty steep investment, but we knew that it was worth it. This was an old hunting shed, and we were able to get it at a good deal. We brought it back. It actually had a fireplace in it, which is probably not the safest thing, but we fixed it up and we made it so it was that it was okay. It was good, and then we ended up basically getting it ready for Sarah to utilize as she would go to school. So Audrey and Sarah lived in this place for a number of years until eventually they made their way to their home away from home.
We do have a video that has the full redoing renovation of this mustard seed. And if you stay tuned down the road, maybe this winter you'll see us do a second renovation on this space. Now that she's gone, we're gonna make it into a different use. And I'm really excited about that. I can fix all the things that I didn't do very well the first time I renovated it. But the name Mustard Seed Cabin comes from the idea that faith like a mustard seed. With small things, great things can come from that. And this was like that small seed, that small beginning of the great journey that we had here on the homestead. I mean, the color of it is kind of mustardy. My kids keep saying, Mom, you should paint the mustard seed cabin. But I'm like, it's the mustard seed cabin. I can't change the color of it. So, but it has both of those meanings. It's the color, but it's also that little seed of hope, that little seed of a great beginning.
Let's go check out some more chickens. Come on. I got a problem. I can't help it. I just think chickens are so cute and they're fun and they taste good. Who are we kidding? This is a special place for us. Actually, this kind of lean-to was something that was one of the last additions that we did here. This has been the perfect little chicken yard. We had our little Amish friend come out and help us with that. And what's been kind of cool too is that we put a few little gutter things that goes over there and we get some water that we just feed right back to the chickens. So one, it's been kind of cool is that this is a little dry yard where they can go in and kind of have their dust baths. They can come in and get a little drink, and then we have this little tunnel that takes them out to this other back area where they can scratch around and have a great time. This used to be, when we first bought this place, a shed, like a tool shed. That's what it was. And so we thought, well, let's put chickens in there. So we ended up doing a lot of work on the inside here. We put wood chips on the ground. We have these beams up so they can perch. And it's been a great place for them. But then on the other side, right over here, we have another lean-to. We've had so many different animals in that part of it. We had sheep in there for a while and goats, and then we realized that's a lot of poop in that area. So let's clean that out. And then we actually used it to put some machinery in our tractor. So this is getting a lot of good use in, but the chickens, this is what it's about. This is for them, really.
So I've done quite a bit of building since we've moved here to the homestead, and I really have no experience doing that before then. And but my skills have improved so much. I love it. I actually have people calling me for information on how to do things. That's pretty cool. But this chicken coop was the first thing I built since moving to the property when we moved here. Of course, I didn't build the shed. Chris told you it was already here as a shed. But all of the framing on the inside, that was me. I did that. I built the door. It was my first door. I've built many doors and gates since then, but this little space in here is very, it makes me very proud because it was the very beginnings of my skills. So it's pretty awesome.
Area. It's got a lot of special memories for me. I know that seems weird, but when we first got pigs, we had them right in this area right here, and we had no idea what we were doing, so we were using old pallets and just wood that we had found to basically make a pen. Linda had done a number of experiments on how can we do feeders for them. We used big plastic garbage cans to hold a whole bunch of feed in, and then it just became this bog eventually. We didn't rotate them. We didn't understand that principle yet. These pigs just destroyed this part of the property. It's come back great now, and it's doing really well. But it was right over here that we also decided to put the A-frame construct that we have for our kayaks and canoe. This thing has gotten a lot of comments already on YouTube about people who have liked the design. Linda came up with this. This is something that we use all the time, and it's held up fantastic through a number of winters. We have a couple kayaks and we have the canoe, and yeah, they're done for the year as we're in fall getting ready for winter, but the A-frame is going to hold up just fine. So, funny enough, we had some Amish friends help us out with this building. You know, we've done a lot of construction work and building work. We're pretty good now with fences and with some basic things that we need to use for our animals. But the next step will definitely be us building some sheds and maybe even some cabins out in the woods for people to come and visit and hang out. But this was built. I don't know if we had intended for us to use it like this. I think Linda's desire was, let's put a lot of our lawn equipment and things like that in there so we can get it out of the garage. So we had this built, and it's been a pretty cool place. I actually kind of claimed it. It wasn't for me originally, but it certainly has become my little shed. I made it my own a bit too, so I put a bunch of stuff in here. We have what's called the famous grease table. And this grease table is called that because of all of the chainsaws that go on it and the way that I'm getting them ready for work. And so it's become this beautiful place that smells like oil and some gas and a little bit of chainsaw grease. And so long and the short, let's go inside. I'll give you a little tour. This is a fun story. When we first moved to Central New York, we had a priest friend of ours who was getting rid of some things, and this tractor ran, but it didn't work. And so I spent some money. I got this little puppy going, and this has turned out to be a beast of a tractor. We use this all the time. Pulling stuff, mowing, you name it, it's getting some good hard work in. And this is the famous grease table. I got a couple Husqvarnas and a steel chainsaw, which I will prefer. The reality is that this gets a lot of work, and it's got all the extra pins and stuff for the attachments on the tractors. We got a lawnmower in here. I know it seems crazy to talk about it, but I'm just going to show you something here. I got a problem. Yes, you're thinking you already told us about chickens, but it's not that. I have a problem with chains for my chainsaws. I probably have dozens and dozens of chains, and you're thinking, why? Well, it's a long story, but simply put, I like my chains so sharp that when I go out and I cut, it's pretty much effortless. In the process, I've learned a lot about sharpening my chainsaws, maintaining the chainsaws. So a lot of the things that we do on this property involve wood splitting for the stove, cutting down trees for our sawmill, stuff like that. And so the chainsaw and I are very close friends. And so I love a little supply of chains. The other thing too is I have an extremely ridiculous supply of hats, and I put them all in here and I have them hanging up. This thing eventually will probably be filled with the hats that go around it. So if you got an extra hat that you don't need anymore, go ahead and feel free to send it to me. You can also tell me what your favorite hat is to wear when you go out and you do your work. Give me a comment, maybe a picture even below of your favorite hat. We got our Happy Place Homestead hats that you can certainly get at happyplacehomestead.com. Yeah, I got a bunch of other ones that I wear now and then too. So really, if you haven't already done it, please like and subscribe for our channel. It means a lot to us. Maybe spread the word. Maybe you got someone in your life who's addicted to hats or chainsaws or little old tractors. I think we'd probably get along well. This side over here, Linda's got her compost, her dirt ready to go for spring as we get ready for planting. I have to be honest, every year I would take and get this thing attached to my little tractor, which is over there collecting leaves right now. But this was a snowblower, and I bought it originally thinking, oh my gosh, I need it. We're going to have to use it. But it has been horrible. It has been the worst investment because, first of all, my little Husqvarna tractor can't move forward with this snowblower and handle the snow and the ice on the ground. All it does is spin. So I have to basically have all my kids come out, push the back of it while I'm moving forward. It's just a catastrophe. So we ended up hiring a person to clear our driveway since that wasn't. My kids put the rake away. Let's be honest. Most of us probably have memories of going out and raking up leaves and jumping in those piles, and maybe they're good memories for you, or maybe they were painful memories because your parents made you do all the work for them. We have an awesome pile of leaves here, but the beauty is that underneath that is a whole bunch of other nasty things. It's our compost pile. So Linda is super interested in composting. This year especially has been a big year for us. We built this area out of old pallets with enough space for me to be able to bring my tractor in, the New Holland tractor, not the Ford 8N. This tractor, the New Holland, has a front end loader, and so we're able to put a whole bunch of dirt and debris and things like that in. We dump it over here. The compost is going to be fantastic for us come this spring. The thing about it is, though, originally I had intended that we would put a lean-to that would come down where I'd be able to put my tractor in for the winter. There's still possible time for that. I don't know. We ran out of boards. That's what this came out to. We started this project. We thought this is great. And then, of course, with the virus, we can't get the lumber, which was another reason why we went out and got the sawmill so we could start building our own stuff. The point is that one side was going to be compost and the other side was going to be mulch. And so we built these two little bays, and we're going to utilize that for that kind of stuff. Then over here, we were going to put some of the additional lawn equipment. I got a wood splitter that we use every year, and so we'll probably wheel that sucker back over here once we get the roof in place. So, I mean, I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but this is a pretty big deal for us because half the battle is not only getting equipment that you can use on the homestead, but also taking care of the equipment. And we don't want things that are going to be out rusting, especially during winter. Maybe you got some things that you use to help protect your stuff. I, of course, am a familiar fan of tarp, and tarp and I are close friends. So we use a lot of tarps to try to keep things dry. We're on a limited budget. We're doing what we can, right, to keep things taken care of. And I think you probably can relate to that too.
So here we are at the back of our cleared property with the compost being in the very back of it. And you can see behind me that we still have some animals that are being moved around until the snow hits the ground. But from behind me, we have many acres of wooded area. We have a few trails that we've been working on through the years. The original builders of this property put in cross-country ski trails, but then when the second owners had it logged, the loggers utilized all those trails to get through the property and destroy them. since we've moved here, that's been our mission, is to repair those trails because we want to be able to access the rest of our property. And I simply just want to enjoy walking in a beautiful place without having to like hurdle over big, huge holes and trees, and what a mess. So working on the trails has been a big thing for us, and it's not finished. It's a work in progress. But we are so grateful for having all the space behind us. We don't know what it will become one day, but we're utilizing it as we can for now, for tapping trees, for hunting, for lumber, for wood. I mean, you name it, we're using it. We've even put animals, goats and pigs out there. So we're just so grateful for having all this extra space back here.
This is one of my favorite areas. I don't think it's my kids' favorite area, that's for sure. But I think the reason I love this is that not only is this that was not on purpose, just so you know. Not only is this a cool place for us, obviously, because the wood's close and we can just take it right up and inside right by our wood burning fire stove, but it's cool because we built these this one especially was done by my sons, mostly led by Noah Paget. So it was kind of cool. The first one, the biggest one right there, was a big undertaking, and Linda made sure that we got all the specs right. We had a friend of ours come and help us put it together. It was a cool experience. And this woodshed right there has held up amazing during the winters. And this one is just kind of that little small attachment right next to it. It's been perfect for us because we find that as we rotate our animals, we also kind of rotate our wood. So the longer it sits, the better it is. The older it is, the better it burns, the hotter it burns. So what we do is we put a lot of the newer stuff in one of the two bays, and then we end up utilizing the oldest first, and then by the time we get to the second, it's ready to go. So today we were doing a little workout here. We're doing some organizing, trying to create a little bit more room. We're splitting some of the last bigger logs, and you guys, I know you can't tell, but it's cold here. I keep walking around with my hands in my pockets because I'm kind of freezing a little bit here.
Clouds today, and I'm being blinded, but that's okay. I'll take all the sunlight we can get at this time of year. But right now we are sitting on the back deck that I mentioned earlier. This was built, big surprise, by our Amish friend, and finished last year, and it's been such a great gift. The French door that's behind us was an addition that we added also, and one of those other things that Chris was like, why do we need a door in that space? It's been amazing. So okay, again, outdoor space has been a great gift for us at this homestead. And so now for the rest of the tour, we're going to take you from this outdoor space back. What we've shown you so far is kind of like the front of the house. And here we are in considered the back of the house. With a round house, it's really hard to tell what's the front and what's the back.
Right.
But so from here, we're going to lead you out of what the great view that we have from this deck and show you the barn and the animals, and we're almost done with the tour. And we just, again, thank you for joining us, but hang in there, okay?
Also, for those of you who are like, why can't you go in and show us the house? We're going to do that. So we'll show you the inside of the house soon. But for right now, we're on the we're on the outside because yeah, you don't understand. There's so many people leaving so much junk around the inside of the house that it would be, I mean, it would be a real sad state of affairs to walk in there right now. I mean, you saw they left the rake in the middle of the ground. I mean, can you just picture in your mind the insanity of all of these children and adults leaving junk where it's not supposed to be. So we're gonna go out there. It's pretty good. It's not too shabby.
All right.
So I have to original area where the yard met the wooded space. Our property was predominantly woods, and you would think that's fantastic, and it was. The problem was there were a number of people previous to us who had done some things that hurt the land. There were loggers that came in and destroyed it, and so what we did was we knew that we needed to clear some space in order to fix those mistakes, but we also knew that we wanted to expand the pond back here. So we did that all in one fell swoop. We had a friend of ours come in and he cleared the area. He was able to even out the ground that had been messed up from the logging, and then he was able to dig and expand that pond, which has been really a beautiful addition to our homestead. Honestly, I can still in my mind remember we used to put these little cinder blocks with 2x4s that would come up, and we would stack all these kindling logs there. So throughout the fall, we would take and have the kids go out, and we'd get all these sticks and we'd place them there so that in the winter time we could come out here and get those to start the fire. We have certainly refined the system from that. Anyway, a lot of great memories for us as we've gotten to this point, but we're still dreaming and still pretty excited because for us, I told Linda the other day, you know, if you look up there and you can see where the hill begins to go up, and we have a rock wall that goes the entire way right there. It was really kind of beautiful. I said, just envision sheep on a pasture, and they're just kind of dotting that hill, and I thought that could be us here in about a year or two if we do this right. And so we've been planning and strategizing and finding ways to get this stuff cleared and make it a lot more beautiful. And it's hard work, but it's part of our happy place. So obviously I'm standing here in an area that used to be wood, but is now yard. And I got a couple lawnmowers, and I would come out here and I would mow it. And then I had the brilliant idea, wait a minute, we have all of these mouths to feed. And no, I'm not talking about my children. We have all of these grass feeders, and so let's get them out on the land. So we got a hold of these Premier One fencings, and we were able to start rotating our animals on our yard. And I swear, I haven't had to use my lawnmower for months. So that's been kind of cool. Many of you might remember the original fencing that we have going around our barn. And that, of course, was on the series that we did, the Happy Place Homestead Show. You can see us trying to fix that fence, and Sebastian, the little mischief goat, out, which he is out. I swear to you, today, my son told me he saw Sebastian open the door to the barn. He opened a door to the barn with his nose. Like my son saw that. I saw him the other day do that. I thought, does this goat know how to open up the door? That can't possibly be true. We're going to have to get a GoPro on him and just to see if we can figure out his wily ways. Anyway, if you've not watched that show, the Happy Place Homestead Show, we did these episodes a couple years ago. It was meant just for fun. It wasn't really meant to teach you homesteading. It was just having a great time. And those episodes feature our goat and our fencing. Well, the fencing's held up well. We've had this cattle fencing now for probably 5 years, and it's been a fantastic addition. But the number of times that we have disassembled and assembled fencing is probably going to cause my kids to need therapy for the rest of their life. So the Premier One fencing is so much easier for us because that netted electric fencing is easy to move around and help us out with our rotational grazing. I don't know if we've mentioned this, but we have some Amish friends. Jacob, when we first got here, we met this young Amish man, Jacob, and we asked him if he could help us build a shed. What I had envisioned in my mind was something a little bit bigger than a shed. I needed some help with a barn, but we called it a shed because that's what he built. And we gave him some specs for the biggest shed I think he'd ever built. And half of it was going to have a floor and the other half was going to be wide open. This he had never done before. So Linda and I, we thought about it, we dreamed about it, we gave him the specs, and he built this awesome barn for us. We had it transported here. It was amazing. The transport worked out fantastic. We were able to put it down, and it is a movable structure. That's the cool thing about these things that we have on our property. We didn't have to worry about laying some huge foundation, digging into the ground. We were able to settle it here, and if we choose to move it in the future, we easily can. But this has been a great place for us. We've had some super cool surprises. I remember my son came in last year during the winter, I think it was, and said, there's a baby goat. And we went out there, and our mama goat had given birth to little babies. It was so sweet. We were able to get them snug as a bug. And so it's been a special place for us. But of course, this year, we wanted to add to the barn a number of things to help it be a lot better for this winter. And one of the things that we wanted to add was a floor. And so Linda, of course, was the big dreamer on that. And if you haven't seen the video, you can see the cool video that we did on putting the floor in. We had a huge job this summer of making sure that that was great, because what happened with the old one, with it just being ground, it could get cold and the water could come in, and so this is going to keep them a lot drier, and we're going to have our hay last a lot longer. So it was pretty cool.
We have a video that tells you a little bit about why we named them that and how we got them and their little journey here to the homestead. But they are Kuni pigs, and then behind them is Diesel, who's a potbelly pig. But we built this little A-frame hut for them, and eventually, now let me tell you this is how I think. Eventually, I want to put in a permanent, cute little picket fence that has a mailbox on the outside of it that says the Large Family. That will happen over here. And then eventually we will be able to connect that permanent fence to portable, movable fencing that will go out through the paddock to help clear that space back there and give them some good fresh food. But everything has to look cute here at the homestead for me. But of course, this mud isn't very cute right now.
So I think I already mentioned this before in the video that we did on the Large Family, but I love pigs. I wanted to be a pig farmer as a kid, which is hilarious. So anyway, we found the most useless pigs you can find. I mean, the potbelly pig is literally just a pet. These two are supposed to be having babies, but I think all they're doing is nothing. They're doing nothing. Nothing. Anyway, this has been a fun thing. What we're doing right now is we're kind of expanding their yard. I know it seems weird to say that, but with the other pigs going to freezer camp, this yard will expand a little bit more, hopefully back in that brush area. They're herbivores primarily, so what's kind of cool about the Kuni pigs is that you put them in an area and they can eat a lot of that vegetation. So we're going to hopefully take those panels with the pigs going to freezer camp, bring it here, give them a little bit more of a luxury stay. And as winter comes, they'll have some more places to hang out. The other day I used agrifab on that Husqvarna little tractor to just pick up a whole bunch of debris. I put a lot of it, of course, in the compost area, and I put a lot of it here just because the pigs like to roll around in it, and it kind of something they can snuggle in. I've come out, and Mr. Large was lying in it and getting all comfy. It's been kind of fun to watch them. They have a cute little personality, and just as much as Sebastian's been a part of our family, these little pigs have fit right in, I have to be honest. And they're not so little. When we tried to move them, if you remember that from the video, both Colby and I, we about needed medical attention. This little mama is a fat lady.
All right, we're almost done, but the last spot that I want to show you here in the homestead is this open space behind me. This space is, I think, a triumph for us. You think, what is it? Just an open place of grass? But it's really a sign of victory that we've actually had on this homestead in the 5.5 years we've been here. When we moved here, this was covered with treetops and leftover logs and things that the loggers, they were on the property illegally and were kicked off by the bank. And so when they did that, they left their mess. And so this was covered. The kids would try to play in this area, and I was always afraid of them having to, like, they would break a leg by dropping down into a whole pile of trees and limbs and things. So we weren't sure how we were going to take care of all this mess other than like light it on fire, which didn't seem very safe. So our friend up the street, Melanie, got her husband and he brought his bulldozer over and he pushed it all for us. And when he was done clearing that, he goes, I don't know how you're going to grow anything on this space. There's no topsoil left. And about a couple months ago, he was over here visiting and he looks at this and he goes, is that the place that I cleared? And I said, yeah. And he was like, that's amazing. Look how great it looks. And that is amazing. That is our victory. What did we do to this space? We put animals on it. We had cows and we didn't have cows at the time, but we had pigs, donkeys, sheep, goats. We had all of those animals in this space for quite a while, well over a year and a half or so. And they just pooped on it. They ate hay on it. They ate the grass. They just lived in that space. And here we have this beautiful, beautiful space. It's still not a ton of topsoil, but it's the beginnings. And we have learned over and over again, we're hearing more and more the importance of growing and maintaining topsoil on our earth. And so this is our small little victory to permaculture, our small little victory to growing soil. And so even though it's not much there now, it makes me so happy that I see it as a triumph for us in these years that we've been here.
Hey, you guys, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and know that we are cheering you on, hoping you can find your happy place.